Hey, it is your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today. We're zooming in and focusing in on a viewer question we got in, and that is really to understand what is low self-esteem. And especially as a result of abusive relationships, emotionally abusive relationships, where maybe your boundaries were violated, this person mistreated you through yelling, through physical abuse, through emotional manipulation, some of the more intangible forms of hurting people, which can oftentimes creep up on people and really don't know really the role that they have to perpetuating the relationship or understanding really what transpired or what happened. And that oftentimes is creating what we call a low self-esteem. Low self-esteem means you kind of feel like a nobody. You feel invisible. You feel like a nothing. You don't have internal value about yourself, your existence in life. You have a negative validation or a negative evaluation of yourself. And this then causes you to become repeatedly violated. In other words, where you would, if you had high self-esteem, where you valued yourself, you valued your boundaries, you have that self-respect, you can say no, you would not have a tolerance, you'd have a little bit of a higher standard of what you'd accept and permit and, invite in your life, in your relationships, your personal relationships, your financial relationships, your profession, rather than having that boundary, that standard, sort of that ability to put your foot down. It oftentimes creates a situation where you do not have that intact. You don't have that in place. You don't have the boundaries. You don't know how to protect yourself. You don't know how to draw the line. You don't know how to say no. You don't know how to stop not tolerating this. In other words, the abuse continues. This becomes kind of a normal for you. And this can become very severe, and it can become life-threatening when people's self-esteem is so horrible that they, become violent, they commit crimes, they get into a lot of fighting, they, are breaking the law, there's professional intervention that's needed. You have people who overdrink, overdrug, overspend, overgamble. They end up destroying relationships with their closest or their children or their family or their job because of this low self-esteem, this negative self-evaluation. And it oftentimes is, part of a perspective. Now, it can be ingrained in, early in life. In other words, if your caregivers, your parents did not instill this in you, they did not give you the eye contact, they did not give you the love, they did not give you the messages that you were important, that you were loved, that you were cared, that you were nurtured for, that you were meant to succeed in life. If there was sort of a negative, stormy presence, a lot of passive aggressiveness, or a lot of, hatred from a person, your caregiver could have, they could have projected a lot of self-hate that they had for themselves that was rooted in their upbringing or what have you, that they then thrust onto you and sort of energetically imprinted this onto you or got ingrained in your programming, which means basically your internal operating system, sort of your experience, your perspective in life, and gave you the negative messages. You'll never amount to anything. Maybe a lot of physical abuse just literally physically imprints this into you. I mean, if you're physically abused, that sends a very physical negative message, which means you are horrible, you're not worth anything, you are nothing. It just, really pounds it into you. And this can also then come with negative statements about you, or a lot of viewers have commented, where their parents gave a lot of negative messages to them, about their skin, about their hair, about their ability to play and be innocent. So you have a lot of negative messages that can come from parents or society at large, which can instill this negative self-evaluation. And so this is what we call low self-esteem. It's low self-value. And if you walk around with this, you might become a rebel. You might become, develop some mental health issues where you get into self-mutilation, or you just end up having poor judgment and making a lot of bad decisions, and eventually, or you might become kind of angry, or you might not like the life that you're living and not ever really want to change it or not think that you can. This is all rooting and stemming from low self-esteem, and we attract that which we are in life. So if you are then attracting a lot of negative people into your life who are rebellious, who take advantage of you, it's because you're attracting like into your life. It's like the law of attraction. You are attracting these violators and perpetrators to match that energetic statement that you are putting out. So, that's why we talk about growing up or growing out of a negative self-esteem, because this eventually needs to be corrected and responded by you yourself. You now need to take the helm, and you now need to create a better self-image, a better feeling about yourself, a better sense and a positive evaluation of yourself and the value with which you bring to life and to yourself. And so knowing that, and a sense of knowing is that state of certainty that I am valuable, I am important, I have a lot to give, even if it's a smile, even if it's, patting a baby on the back and, telling a couple that's a beautiful child. I mean, you might have made their day by responding positively. You might you might have made cashier's day by saying, thank you so much. How are you doing today? Creating little bits of conversation here and there with people who have felt ignored, unappreciated, things of that nature can really pick up somebody's day. And so even your little acts of kindness and generosity can go a long way. So that might be your purpose for that day, or, sharing that value of yourself. And that will build over time once you correct it. But it does need to be corrected by you and sort of your role of metacognition, your ability to think about what you're thinking about and correcting that and saying, okay, maybe I am a good person. There's nothing wrong with me. This was how I was raised. This is how I was treated. This was their stamp. Almost like if you've ever seen, an ink stamp, it's like kind of what they put as a tattoo or ingrain inside you as a person, this sort of negative stamp, this negative molding, this negative encasing, and you need to get rid of it. Really clear the state from their negativity, the negative looks, the harsh statements, the harsh looks, the looks could kill, the evil presence. And once you've, identified these people in your life, have the courage and the boldness to say no more. This person cannot operate in my life. They cannot continue to have an energetic exchange with me because they are just so negative. They are, there's an sundry array of things that are going awry with them, and I am not part of that. I'm not responsible for their correction. I'm not responsible for their evolution. I don't want to stay down with them, and that is not where I'm meant to exist. So you might need to change your circle of friends. You might need to change your job. You might need to change the outfits in your closet that reflect this negative self-esteem. You might need to change the food that you're eating, the car that you're driving. You might need to do these things and be proactive to shake it off, break free of it, that negative feeling, and really begin to say, you know what? I'm now going to draw the positive in my life now, and I'm no longer going to operate or feel that negative, and I'm going to surround myself with people who validate me and who I am, the positive aspect. I'm not going to give a hunk of myself getting bitten off and ripped off by some other person who is trying to bring me down to their level. I need to now take the high road. I'm no longer engaging in this with this person, even if this person is a spouse of 20 years, or even if this is a parent of 50 years, even if this is a boss, where your income is, it is not worth it. You need to look to the horizon and saying, I'm now going to rise with the sun, and I'm going to only become an energetic match to that which is positive, supportive, nurturing, and where I am valued. And I'm not going to allow the toxic jealousy, the toxic anger, the evil that is really, very on many deep layers of this individual to permeate my being anymore. I'm not going to share with them anymore. And it'll allow you to open up yourself to better, more positive, uplifting experiences. Even if this is, finding a new church, changing making some radical changes, throwing out a lot of old stuff from your home, which has kind of been permeated with this negative, yucky energy, which just feels, where, maybe it's kind of tinged with this low self-esteem, low self-evaluation, and looking at the negative patterns that you had created as a result of this. And then let's now move those patterns. Let's change those patterns up, because if you continue the same patterns, you're going to continue the same negative results and just keep in place that negative low self-esteem, which is keeping that heavy low feeling within you and isn't going to really create any productivity or positive good for you in your life and help you to grow and move forward. This is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today, and I hope that these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.